Defending Liberty.
Well, what is up, all of our liberty-loving friends? This is another fantastic episode of Good Morning Liberty. My name is Nate Thurston. Across from me is the one and the only Charlie Thompson. What's up, Chuck? What are you doing, man?
Another day.
Yeah. I called you Charlie this time because you said it made you feel weird yesterday, and I thought, well,
let's just keep doing it.
There's an option. If I want to make Charlie feel weird about being Charlie, that's fine. Not the Charlie America wants, but the Charlie America deserves right now. Charlie Thompson.
Yeah. I could, well.
I don't know what that means specifically.
Me neither.
But,
I'm not a Kirk. I don't think I could fill his shoes.
No. Well, you do have really big feet.
Yeah. Actually,
he's 6'5", so yeah.
I'm 6'7".
Mm-hmm.
It's possible we wore the same shoe size.
Possibly. Yeah. We'll see.
It's not what I was talking about, but
anyhow, I just wanted to do something lighthearted before we do our Conspiracy Wednesday show real quick. I guess that's what today is. Not really White Pill Wednesday, but Conspiracy Wednesday. And so that's what we're going to talk about. A lot of stuff going on right now with this assassination. And a lot of other things, by the way, going on in the government, which we will have to make sure we talk about next week, probably not this week, but next week, because you don't want to allow them to use this cover to do too many stupid and terrible things. You know, they like to make hay while the sun's shining. So we got to make sure we keep an eye on what the government's doing at the same time. So yesterday, this whole thing is weird. I just want to say that it is really weird. And as you guys know, like I didn't jump on the Israel conspiracy immediately. That was one of the first dumb things that we made fun of right after this happened. So I didn't jump right on that. Right on this is clearly a crazy leftist hates Charlie Kirk, and then the official stories coming out and it fits all that. And I'm like, okay, well that's it's like a likely scenario that this is what happened. But there have been several like really weird things that have left open the door for people to conspiracize about this whole situation. One of them is this text message chain that was released yesterday. I'm not immediately saying it's not real. I think it's always great to be suspicious of anything. I think the most likely scenario is that most of the facts we have right now are the facts of the case. I think a lot of it has been presented to us in a very sloppy manner that has allowed for people to point out like inconsistencies and stories and things like that. There's still like a few weird things that hopefully get cleared up sometime. I still can't reconcile the whole video of the guy jumping off the roof of that building. It doesn't. Sure doesn't look like he's got a rifle with him. That time, Yeah. That's a really weird one. It's like the changing of the clothes. Like he wore an outfit, and then he changed outfits to do the shooting. I guess he changed back out of the outfit or whatever. It's a weird thing. And then
apparently his roommate. They keep saying roommate, but it was a boyfriend.
Yeah.
At the same time, there's just a lot of strange strangeanity, is what I would coin it as.
Fat Mac, one of the people in the Fat Haters Club, join gmail.com, a literal hate group that we have on a private Discord server. One of our members says that you could see him having the rifle wrapped if you zoom in. He's holding something long, and that could be the case. I'm not going to write out and saying that. I have seen a lot of people questioning this text message chain, and I just wanted to present that to people. Magoo just said it's a where's the gun before the shooting. And I guess he got the ring doorbell camera of him walking like kind of stiff-legged, and the idea is that it's down his pant leg, I guess. Yeah, that's where we're at right now. There's weird stuff with the overall timeline, and some of it I can just chalk up to...
but then he's not stiff-legged on the stairs?
Yeah.
So my thing is like, if you have pictures or videos of him on the stairs with a stiff leg, like release that.
Is that on the stairs before the shooting, like leading up to that?
Well, look, it's plausible, okay, that he walked to the event and put the weapon up on the roof, and then he came down the stairs and like went to the event or was part of the event, and then went back up the stairs without the rifle because it was already on the roof.
Sure.
I mean, so that's plausible.
Sure.
But my thing is you would have video of him doing those things. So like, why don't you release it in succession?
Yeah. Some of it, like I said, it may be a little bit of sloppy press releases on things. And then at the initial press conference, they're like, we've got an image. We're not going to release it right now, which opened up the door for a lot of people like, what are they hiding? What are they covering up? And the answer is, if you think you're going to catch him, you don't want to tip him off that you know who he is, like, so he goes into hiding or whatever. Mm-hmm. So that's a good answer there. They end up releasing the video like a few hours later, or still shots from the video. It's been some weird stuff. I hope I hope Kash Patel cleans up some of this information. There is a risk that some of the misstatements of fact or some of the showing of biases or whatever that could be brought up at trial at some time. O.J. Simpson got off, and that I'm not sure if some of these people who were close friends of Charlie Kirk's need to kind of take a step back a little bit from being the lead investigators on this thing. But anyhow, I wanted to talk about the text message chain. That's another thing that came out yesterday. You can see screenshots of it. It's all over the place right now. And many people questioning the validity of this. One of the main things I've seen is like, this is not how people talk in text messages. This is not how someone of this age talks, kids these days. This is just not how someone talks. And I don't know, everyone's different. This was, apparently given test scores and stuff, a pretty smart guy, book smart guy. And so could be the way that he talks. I would need to see other examples of how he talks to come out and say well, that's just not how someone would talk. That's not how this guy talks. Like I would need to know if that's the case. I can read you a little bit of it. I'm sure you guys have seen it. I'm going to go to the post-millennial thing about this because some of the screenshots going around are out of order and they're taking specific stuff. Let's see. So Robinson's saying, this is him texting the other guy.
This is texting on Discord, right?
No, that's actual text. I said earlier, I thought it was Discord, but it seems to be actual text. That's what everyone's saying. I saw someone say it was Discord, and that's what you get for initially believing someone. Robinson saying, I'm still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orem for a little while longer. Yeah, it shouldn't be long until I can come home, but I got to grab my rifle still. To be honest, I'd hope to keep the secret till I died of old age. I'm sorry to involve you. This started off with him saying to look under the keyboard. And apparently under the keyboard, there was a note saying that I have the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and I'm going to take it. And that's the person's response was like, what? Let me go to that real quick. Yeah, there it is. What? You're joking? You weren't the one who did it, right? I am. I'm sorry. I thought they caught the person. Said, no, they grabbed some crazy old dude. The thing with the old dude is really weird also. I've never thought that immediately, like if, you think you're going to be somewhere and someone gets shot and your initial reaction, like in the panic of the moment, is to be like, I did it. It was me.
Shoot me.
Shoot me. I'm the one who did it.
And then, by the way, wasn't he arrested later for child porn now?
Yeah, they caught going through his phone. They found some, I don't know what it was. Child sex abuse material of some kind on the guy's phone. And this guy has a history of being crazy politically and a lot of crazy statements, been arrested before. Seems like overall pretty crazy person looking at prior arrests and involvement.
Potentially schizophrenic.
Yeah, and
something of that
always
nature.
Looking for attention in scenarios, and might just be the initial reaction of a crazy person, or as many people are saying, he had prior knowledge, and it was his job to try and divert the police's attention, so the actual shooter could get away.
The Fed Haters Club saying he was interviewed after 9/11 because he was there for that.
I saw a video. I don't have it pulled up. I deleted it, or I closed out of it yesterday. It was a video of him talking about remembering being there and something about after 9/11. And so like the video was not of him directly after 9/11. The video was him talking about how he was there or whatever. And so the actual post that I saw could have just been him making crap up to a camera. Like I didn't see anything from the post that I saw anyway. That's the thing, like online, I was telling Charlie, I've said this to him so many times this morning. I was like, oh my God, there's so much freaking information to try and aggregate into something to coherently talk about. And the only way
that we need a department of misinformation so that we can.
Well, and like then you got to this claim, so you got to try and verify that claim, and who verified that claim? Like, can I trust that person? Let's see if I can trust this person who's verifying the person I can't trust. And so it's difficult. The only way you can like coherently talk about these things is if you decide you're going to pick a side and pick a lane, and this is what you think happened, and now I'm going to build the case of what I think happened. And so you can make like a clear and concise argument for why this is the thing that I think happened. And in these scenarios, that's just never me. I don't think it's you either.
No.
I'm always like, wait and see what all the information is. Like if we were like to pick a lane, like say we were going to say Israel. Well, I could sit here and give you some circumstantial evidence of building the motive for why Israel would have done this, for pulling up clips, and it'd be especially helpful if I knew Charlie Kirk and had talked to him before and could bring up things like that. Like it would be able to do that. And I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't trust any of these people.
Yeah,
at all. None of them. And I mean none of them.
I lean on the side that like anything's possible, especially after the revelations of conspiracy theories we've seen come true, that our government is capable of anything. Governments nation or worldwide are capable of anything. But it's really hard to, and I can certainly make an argument and try to convince people that it's true, but I tend to be generally a very open-minded person where I say, that could be true, but how do we know for sure? Because I think truth matters and facts matter when you're speaking about something.
By the way, I think even Ian Carroll came out and said, like, yeah, shouldn't have said I knew for sure, or that we knew for sure what happened.
Right.
You can make the case. And so far, all I've seen is people trying to convince people that there is a motive. There's motive for this guy to have done it too. There's motive for plenty of other people to have done it too, And so proving that someone has a motive or some organization has a motive is not proof of a crime. I need to see some indication that someone was interested in doing this somewhere. And I've only seen that for one guy so far, according to the government.
Yeah, and these text messages really read like a Gen Z, so.
Do they?
We have the proof right here. I did it, my love, with my rifle. It's definitely me and definitely mine. Don't tell anyone.
Yeah. Delete this. Delete these texts. Which I feel like people of that age would know that like you don't truly delete text. And unless they're using some other platform like Freedom Chat or something like that, it's going to be possible for someone to find this stuff. It's in there, stored somewhere in there. So yeah, I had enough. So why did I do it? And other guy says, yeah. And Robinson says, I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out. And then he keeps going back to the rifle. He was very concerned about the rifle. And people have brought this up as a reason to this is a weird obsession with this rifle. Just keeps going back to it over and over again. In the middle of paragraphs, like, I did it to the rifle though. What am I going to do about the rifle? And you could make a couple arguments. One, rifle had fingerprints on it, DNA evidence, stuff like that, and it would be like some of the only evidence specifically linking him to the crime, giving them any kind of suspect eventually. Okay. That's one. I believe he says that at one point in time. The other thing is that it was apparently his grandpa's rifle, and maybe it's a guy who's like, well, got a lot of respect for old grandpa. He wasn't a fan of Charlie Kirk, and I don't want to besmirch his legacy by using his rifle that was given to me as a gift, and then this family heirloom ends up in some evidence locker forever. That's that's not good. And so that's another possibility. Did you see anything good in there yet?
I actually haven't read it yet. So
yeah, it says that if I'm able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they haven't moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it.
It's just, he lists out everything. Like,
yeah.
Remember how I was engraving bullets?
Yeah.
All of this evidence they're going to find. Just listed it out in this one text exchange. Now, maybe
remember
that's
how
true.
when I told you I was going to kill him at this college?
Maybe the text messages are real. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I haven't seen the phones. I haven't seen the extraction of the phones. I haven't. I don't know whose phone number is tied to this roommate's phone. I mean, this could all be legitimately text out, on a phone, but is Robinson the owner of the other phone that's texting this information? Like, Nate and I can create a text message thread that has this exact same information in it and take pictures of it and everything.
I can.
It'd be very easy to do.
Yeah.
It's what's the forensics behind it? I want to see the actual chat file and that this is a registered number to this person specifically, and that we know that they use, there has to be some solid evidence. Because I got to tell you, this could be true, but this text message is very strange.
There's a lot of really strange stuff in this thing. Now, on that point, because I agree that it is oddly
what T-Dub says here, in case you forgot what I looked like, love, here's a photo of my face and a copy of my fingerprints holding the rifle.
Here's today's newspaper
I used with the engraved bullets.
Yeah.
And my grandpa for reference.
I've seen so many theories about this thing where it's this is clearly designed to absolve the roommate. Let's hey, I know we planned this out, but when I text you afterwards, let's act like we never talked about this and you're shocked and horrified. And that way, they're not looking at you. Now, the thing is, with the theories around whether or not this is real, any good defense attorney is gonna be like, hey, well, we should just go directly to the phone companies. Let's just go and get direct evidence of all of this stuff. We don't need just a printout from this phone, or we don't just need the screenshots of this. We could go directly to Verizon, and we're going to have them confirm that this is all real and that Robinson and roommate, that these are the actual people with these phone numbers. And I reckon it would be very, very dangerous for the government to just decide that they're going to put out stuff that they know they made up that could just be then torn apart by actual forensic evidence presented by phone companies.
I also want to see his other text messages. Did he use this many proper, commas, Oxford commas? Did he use that many in normal, conversations? As Magoo pointed out, vehicle. Do 22-year-olds say vehicle? That's a very strange way to say it. You just had it up, but I don't see it. Oh, yeah, at the top there. It's quiet, comma, almost enough to get out, comma, but there's one vehicle lingering. What? I don't even know if I say that.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty proper, with grammar.
I would just say car. Now, what kind of, does anyone know, I don't know this, does anyone know what kind of vehicle he was driving?
I don't know.
Does anyone here in the Fed Haters Club know?
A gray Dodge Charger is what the Fed Haters Club is saying.
Yeah, I would just say car. I was going to say, as an SUV, I'd feel weird. I got to go get the SUV. That sounds like you're being pretentious. I have an SUV.
I would just say, for me, it's like truck or car.
Yeah.
You either have a car or you have a truck. Big SUV is a truck still. Yeah. And, Bailey, you might be right. Maybe he wrote slam poetry too. And that's why he texts like this.
See, I had originally heard that this was actually, that they were communicating through Discord. And I was like, well, when I'm on Discord and I'm using like a keyboard to type out, or which in this case he'd be using his phone anyway. I'm like, well, I use proper grammar and punctuation and stuff. I'm typing complete sentences and paragraphs and sending more stuff at a time, But I went through several reports about this, and then the affidavit, the charging documents, all that stuff, and it says text several times. So that's all I have right now. Let me see. He also says about his dad, since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is deputy for the sheriff. You're all I worry about, love. I'm much more worried about you, which led this weird news clip on ABC about and the guy was like, it offers a glimpse into this touching exchange between these two people. I'm like, wow, that's weird. It's kind of a weird way to talk about it. That's probably going to be on Don't Bleep of the Week. We'll see. Okay, so Tucker Carlson had some pretty banger clips that came out yesterday.
You still have a view that has the screen in the upper right.
Thank you.
There you go.
Let me know. That would have been weird.
And we could see two versions of your screen.
Yeah.
That'd be great.
I'm confirming this is what's specifically on the screen. Tucker Carlson has some really good clips. Some of them in response to Pam Bondi's comments yesterday, talking about hate speech, and then some of them in relation to the Israel question. Once again, I want to say, and then Dave Smith talked about a little bit on his show. Candace Owens, of course, is talking about it plenty. And I understand why everyone is doing this, and I think it's in a response to Netanyahu going on like a publicity tour talking about how great of a friend Charlie Kirk was to the nation of Israel.
Like an hour after it happened.
And how supportive he was and how he wrote this letter. And let me read you 2 sentences from the letter that prove how supportive he was of everything that we're doing. And so if you're like...
No, it could just be his way of... Again, it's all plausible. It could be BB's way of just being like, oh man, we lost a great friend and let me prove it to you. And there could be nothing nefarious about it. But also, the opposite could be true. It's pretty strange.
Yeah.
To hop on a national TV show and hold up a letter and read 2 sentences of it and make it about yourself and about Israel. It seems strange. I don't understand. Was he trying to say like Charlie was a martyr for Israel and not America, or America and Israel? And is he trying to garner more support for Israel of America so America keeps sending money? Like it could have been that. It could have just been like, oh, in the wake of Charlie's death, please send us more money so we can keep dropping bombs on Gaza and not have to pay for it.
My most charitable take on this, and it's not very, it's charitable, but it's not super positive, is that in the days after the shooting and still happening right now, think about when Pam Bondi makes that comment about hate speech yesterday. What's the most popular reply to Pam Bondi's comments on hate speech? The most popular reply is, here is a screenshot literally of something that Charlie Kirk said that is completely against what you are saying right now. Like, let me show you this specific thing right now. Charlie Kirk would not be in favor of this one bit. And so I think what happens is you can use Charlie Kirk's assassination, and you can talk about his support for the state of Israel in a way to get all of these people on board, more so with Israel. Like, you don't want to talk negatively about them. You don't want to flip your support. You don't want to go against them, because remember Charlie Kirk. Remember the things that he cared about, of which one of them the most was Israel. And so don't besmirch his legacy by ever thinking about going against what we are doing here in Israel. And I think that's the most likely scenario, is that they're going to use it to basically harden support for everything that they are doing. I guess the absolute most charitable thing would just be like, oh, he's a guy and he's sad that this guy died. And he just felt the need to go talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. That could be the case there. But anyway, going back to all these people really are responding because they feel like Charlie Kirk's being used at the moment.
Well, also, the other reason they're responding is that we've just seen over the last, let's say, decade, this unbelievable lying narrative happening from government, from media, from all sorts of things. And you have to remember, we're kind of like a decade into this experience of trying to figure out what the truth is whenever previous institutions we've trusted have lost the trust. And so we're relatively in the infancy stage of trying to really figure out who to trust, how do we trust it, because remember, this all started back when, basically in 2015, but more so it happened in 2016 when Trump took over the presidency, of the institutional and corporate media lies that were shoved down your throat. And a lot of people bought it for a long time. And then don't get me started on COVID. Jesus Christ, that was like an escalation that we've never seen before. And then now we're, I think, in the infancy stages of trying to rebuild some sort of trust among the populace. And that's extremely difficult to do when people have this bitter taste in their mouth of not trusting what any sources say, whether that's the government, the FBI. We obviously know, like, Comey lied, and we know our politicians have lied. We know the institutions have lied. We know corporate media has lied. Sources have lied. We know the media now runs with one unconfirmed source trying to spin a narrative. We know that still to this day, they try to take pieces of the truth and spin an entire narrative. And I think what happens in a situation like this is these conspiracy theories come up because people are trying to navigate what is truth. And I think that's the basis of it. And we're very short in the tooth. We're not long. This tooth is short.
Very short.
In our effort to get to a truth. And I think that is what is like the basis, like the root, the tooth root cause of what's happening here. And then, of course, you have people like Candace Owens and Tucker Carlson, even Dave Smith, who considered Charlie Kirk friends. They had a texting relationship. Some of them, a more regular friendship with someone that was assassinated, essentially on live TV, because it was live social media. Like, I think more people have seen an assassination than ever before in the history of the world, probably. And of course, like, man, if this, I try to think about it, like, if someone assassinated Nate, by God, all, theories are on the table.
Yeah.
Whether it's Israel or South Africa, or it doesn't, could be Putin.
Could be.
Who took out my friend Nate, and I would absolutely go, I would follow anything to try to get to the truth of it. And so I can understand.
Cases, it's the wife.
That's where I'd start.
Yeah, you got to start there.
I'd start with her, and I'd rule that out quickly.
Yeah, I hope so.
Or the cats. It could be the cats.
They are serial killers.
They are.
If I ever saw one.
And if they ever figure out how to use guns,
oh my God, we're all dead.
We're all dead.
Yeah, that's World War III.
Yeah,
that's the last one.
So it's hard to joke sometimes, but also I think it's necessary. Anyway, what I'm trying to say is I can understand it from multiple angles, and I think what you have to do is try to analyze and figure out, for yourself, and also try to empathize with other people and figure out, okay, what would you do if you were in this person's shoes or this person's shoes, and how would you go about it, and why don't you trust institutions, and just kind of trying to wade your way through that. And I think that we have a generation, I mean, it probably spans multiple generations, but you could think about millennials and Gen Zs and people who have grown up with the internet. Now we have a couple generations that have figured out what I would say have figured out more of the truth without having to trust the institutions that our parents did, and understanding that, people are and can lie to you. And I think I think we now have some tools available to pursue that truth. And that's all I got to say about that.
Yeah, what I would caution people is always remember that not only can the media and the government and everyone lie to you, but other people can lie to you as well. And that there's always motives for that. And just always remember to keep your mind open and realize that just because something's a really good theory doesn't mean that that is especially true, especially when there's not any great evidence. I want to play, I'm trying to pick and choose what clips I left here to play, which I got about 27 clips. And I think I can play 2 of them. Let me play this one from Tucker Carlson. These things are important in the idea that people like Netanyahu are trying to use Charlie Kirk's assassination to talk about his great support for Israel and try to harden that support for all of his people, when there could be, it could be the case that Charlie Kirk's support for Israel was waning, waffling, changing somewhat, maybe flipping. Maybe he wasn't a giant fan of Netanyahu. And that could be the case. And some of his friends here are bringing up him saying things that kind of go against the mainstream idea that he was like the world's biggest Netanyahu or Israel supporter. Here's one from Tucker Carlson.
He did not like Bibi Netanyahu, and he said that to me many times, and he said it to people around him many times. He felt that Bibi Netanyahu was a very destructive force. He was appalled by what was happening in Gaza. He was, above all, resentful that he believed Netanyahu was using the United States to prosecute his wars for the benefit of his country, and that it was shameful and embarrassing and bad for the United States, and he resented it. Didn't hate Netanyahu. He wasn't out there with a placard saying that, but he certainly expressed that to me and a lot of other people. And there's no question that Bibi's defenders on the internet will call me a liar or a kook, but that's a fact. And enough text messages exist that I think it can probably be verified in pretty short order. Not that it needs to be, because that is true. Shortly after that speech, there was a very intense attack on Charlie, and to some extent on me, not that I really noticed. But on him, I have no donors. He had $100 million worth of donors. And so, because he was involved in a different project from just yapping on the internet, which is what I do for a living, he was dependent to a great extent on his donors, of course. It's a nonprofit. And they went after him and tormented him. Not all, of course. Many were supportive. But the ones who were offended by my speech, and there was a small, very intense group who were, tormented Charlie Kirk until the day he died.
So that's one of the main clips going around right now. Got a response from Ted Cruz and some other people today. I got to tell you, I'm not the biggest fan of this. Let me tell you some things about this person now that they're dead that they had made a decision not to make public at all. Like, here are some of their. Here are some of our
private
conversations that we had.
Confidence.
And these are things that, like, he specifically, clearly did not want everyone to know about for whatever reason, had not made the decision to talk about these things for whatever reason. And here's what those things are. Now, I'm not saying that that's absolutely wrong to come out and talk about it, because if you see that people are trying to use your friend's death to further their own motives, and you know from your close personal conversations that that's actually not the case, and you think those people are lying right now and trying to use his death to further their own agenda, like, what are you going to do? You would make the decision like, well, I don't think my friend really would like these people out here doing this, you know? And given the conversations I've had with him, this is why I think he wouldn't like that, you know? So
I'm not going to allow you to, you know, to trample on his grave or besmirch his name.
Yeah.
So I need to talk about things that were personal that we weren't going to release to in defense.
And there are reasons, by the way, that he wouldn't want to talk about it. Not just because he hadn't made his mind up. If you want to go down that route and be like, well, he maybe was afraid of losing a whole bunch of his donors. It runs a really big political organization, got a lot of traction, got a lot of people, and you don't want to lose a bunch of your donors by flipping your position or openly talking about something that people don't want you to openly talk about. That could be one of them. Maybe he feared for his life. That could be a thing too. Never know. Never know, really. Ted Cruz responded and said, I'm getting really tired of Tucker and his cronies falsely claiming, quote, Charlie agreed with me that Israel is terrible and the problem in America is all of the damn Jews, end quote. I want to point out that that's
not a quote.
Not a direct quote.
Yeah.
But whatever.
So right away, you can't trust what Ted Cruz is saying. He quotes Tucker without it being a quote.
Yeah. I knew Charlie well, and indeed, then he goes on to do
what Tucker did.
What Tucker is doing, only he's saying, I'm going to do it, but when I do it, it's true.
Right.
And which actually I should write a note that would be a great response to this as a repost. He said, I knew Charlie well, and indeed, the very last conversation we had was how deeply concerned he was about the rising toxic wave of anti-Semitism on the right.
Now, you can respond to this and say, I knew Charlie well, and indeed, the very last conversation we had is that he hated both of you.
Yeah. Was that he was very concerned that Ted Cruz was going to post really stupid stuff on X, and lo and behold, here you go. Here's this thing. Stephen Miller has been out there doing this, like, the last thing I talked to Charlie Kirk about was this thing that I want to do right now.
Yeah.
And how important he thought that was. And Ted Cruz says, well, the last thing we talked about was the thing that I think is the most important for all of you to realize right now.
Yeah. And protects my donors. It protects AIPAC from continuing donations to my campaign.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just a very convenient line of the last thing I talked to Charlie Kirk about was the thing that I think is the most important that I want to do right now.
Well, I mean, but in a way, you could also say that makes sense.
Well, that's what he would talk to them about.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure.
he talks.
You guys see how everything can make sense at the same time?
Yeah, because Charlie Kirk talked to multiple people, and of course, what is he going to talk to them about? Well, probably what they've got going on.
Things that are important to them.
Yes.
That's one of the things that I noticed about. So Dave Smith did a thing yesterday on his show where he read some of his text from Charlie Kirk, and so that had to do with what?
Sorry, from the live group, Pam Bondi saying the last thing Charlie told her was to regulate hate speech.
Yeah. Yes.
And then someone says, what I'm getting from this is Charlie Kirk might have been a people pleaser. That's possible. I think if you watch Charlie Kirk, I think he's deeply empathetic. And I think he tries to meet people where they're at, and he feels like that's kind of his calling. And I can empathize with that because I feel very similar, not just because we have the same name, but the last thing Charlie told me was to make sure I love people like Jesus does.
Yes.
And that's true.
That actually is true. Yeah,
yes.
That's one of the most true things we have.
No, but I think he's a deeply empathetic person, and so it makes sense that when he talked to people, he was very much asking. It's not that he's a people pleaser. I think it was more so he understood how to win friends and influence people. He understood that when you talk to someone, you ask them about their day, and people love talking about themselves. You ask them like, hey, what's going on? What are you focusing on? What are you doing? And that's how you win friends and influence people, because people love to talk about themselves. And so I think Charlie was smart enough to understand that. He probably read that book.
He also gave them...
It's in the Libertarian Library.
He would... So like the thing that Dave Smith talked about, where he got a text from Charlie Kirk about after his Douglas Murray debate. And Charlie Kirk told him like, hey, by the way, I think you did a great job. I agree on most of the things that you said, especially this thing that Douglas Murray said. I just think that was ridiculous. You were absolutely in the right on that. And okay, so that's one thing. The one thing I have typed out here about Charlie Kirk is that what we're talking about right now, he seemed like a guy that wanted to be on good terms with everyone. Whatever way you talk to someone, and I can understand this because I do this. Like, I don't really like conflict with people that much, and I will find, like, yes, that thing that we agree on right there. That is, let's talk about that. Or like, that's your opinion. Like, yeah, I totally understand how you have that opinion, and like wanting to really be on good terms with people. I think he always wanted to highlight points of agreement with people, and especially, I think he wanted to keep people on the right kind of together and is kind of playing maybe like a unifying force, common denominator between all of these people. I think he also wanted all viewpoints to be discussed, and especially viewpoints that were important to young people. And so like when he has Tucker Carlson and Dave Smith come speak at the TPUSA event, and a lot of people get upset about that, I think he knows, and he's dealing with a lot of college kids, a lot of young people, and they're very concerned with the things that they see coming out of the Israel and Gaza war. And he needs to address their concerns, and I think he was very smart in doing so. Doesn't mean immediately that he agreed with everything that Tucker and Dave said, on those issues.
I was going to say there's a video I've seen of Charlie talking about the ethos he lived by. And he was talking to someone who was calling him out about, being a Christian and, talking to gays and other people. And Charlie, his response was basically the ethos he really lived by, which was, yes, the Bible says, and you should be firm in your beliefs. However, the gospel also says that you should be long-suffering and patient and kind and meet people where they are. And I think that's what he lived out. You could see it. You can see it in all the debates. I said it yesterday, when the fact that he set the microphone down. And if you disagreed with him, you got to the front of the line. Mm-hmm. Like, this was a guy who welcomed civil discourse and tried to convince people, try to change hearts and minds and convince people that way. And it wasn't obviously there's up videos of him losing his temper sometimes. It was pretty rare compared to the thousands upon thousands of videos where he didn't do that. And I think for the most part, that's like what I explained, or what he explained in his video. That's the ethos he lived, which is be firm in your beliefs. And obviously I'm being defensive of myself and Charlie in this point, which is, I hate the people pleaser term, because I've been accused of that. And it's like, it doesn't mean that I morph into whatever somebody wants, because I'm firm in my beliefs and I stand up for what I believe in. That is true. However, I try to meet people where they are and not judge them or, decide that I'm not going to associate with them, largely because I live out a very similar ethos that I believe is directed from God through Jesus. I mean, Jesus ate with, and Charlie says it's in the video too, he ate with tax collectors and prostitutes, sinners, people who weren't perfect people.
I mean, think of that. Tax collectors.
Yes. Which were hated on.
Exactly.
Because what the Romans did is they employed Jewish tax collectors. And so the Jews saw it as the people who took that job cared about being rich instead of the suffering of their fellow Jews. Matthew being a tax collector, and then obviously a disciple of Jesus.
This just in, by the way, Matt Gaetz says he has personal knowledge as to many of the claims Tucker's making, and they're 100% true. And so...
yeah, according to his last conversation.
The last thing he talked to Charlie Kirk about
was that Tucker was right.
That Tucker knew everything that was in Charlie's heart.
Yep.
I think we're going to find here, since I think Charlie Kirk wanted to be friends with everyone. And like, I don't mean that like what Charlie was just saying. Like, I don't mean that in a negative way. I think it's a good thing to try and be friends with people, to try and be on good terms with people. I think you're going to find that, in fact, a lot of people with a lot of opposing viewpoints are going to have like, well, the last time I talked to Charlie Kirk, he was in agreement with this thing that I said. And I think it's because he specifically tried to find, like, was there a point of agreement? I'm going to reach out to that person, which is great quality, by the way. Like, for him to reach out to Dave Smith and be like, hey, great job in that debate, by the way. I agree with you on a bunch of these things. Specifically, this thing right here, and it leaves Dave Smith like, well, that's cool, Now, they might disagree on like the whole, some massive issue, like whether or not we should be supporting Israel, which is like a pretty important issue in the conversation. But he will find that thing, and like, I agree, that's a great point. And then that leaves that person with,
Yeah, and then
a good feeling.
And then Charlie talked to Megyn Kelly on Megyn Kelly's show about the hate he was getting for inviting Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson to the TPA
from Laura Loomer.
Yeah, from Laura Loomer and others. And he was basically saying, both him and Megyn Kelly were like, they literally got on video and they're like, we're like the biggest shills for Israel. But now because we invited one person or two people to talk at an event, now you can't do that, I've been the biggest proponent of Israel. Megyn, you have too. But because I invited Dave Smith and Tucker Carlson to debate at a TPUSA event, now I can't do that, and I'm an anti-Semite. Like, get out of here with that. It's mind-boggling to me right now as we try to figure out what the truth is.
Yeah,
and navigate this. And I think it's important for all of you to realize as you're listening here that you have to take everything you read with a grain of salt and keep digging into it. And we've talked about this, I think, for a long time. There's this whole mantra of like, do your own research. But I think it's true if you have the brain processing power that you should dig in. I can't help but make jokes, You should dig in and try to figure out what the truth is. That is an adventure in and of itself, is pursuing truth
That's fun.
in every situation. And that would be my calling to you out there listening.
And so speaking of that truth, because I know we got to go, I have seen no one introduce.
I'm free, by the way.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it got canceled.
Good. I've seen no one introduce into evidence that Israel wanted to take out Charlie Kirk, that they had a plan to take out Charlie Kirk, that anyone had discussed doing this because he had changed his stances on Israel or was about to change his stance on Israel, which actually could have had a pretty large effect. I've seen no documents, statements, text, emails, not even social media posts from the people that he needed to go. And so all I've seen so far is that people like Candace Owens, who I think her heart's in the right place, especially with the loss of her friend, and some of the others, the Ian Carrolls, people like that, are doing a really, really great job of proving that Israel might have had a motive to do it. As I said at the beginning, all of us have to, I would hope, agree that proving that someone has a motive does not mean that they acted on that motive, might not mean that they even recognize that motive exists. You can build a theory of a motive for someone. They might not have even known about it. And so that's not proof of a crime. Tyler Robinson also seemed to have a motive to want to kill Charlie Kirk on his own. Many other people around the country also had a motive to want to do it. And there's only one bit of evidence we're getting so far that points to anyone doing it. It's decent evidence so far that this person did it. I haven't seen anything that they're connected to Israel, that they got paid by Israel or anything like that.
And also you have to accept the fact we may never know why.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
He
said it specifically in those text messages. He laid it out.
Yeah.
Perfectly. That's right. He had enough of his hatred. And some hate can't be negotiated out. If I'm able to grab my rifle unseen, I will have left no evidence. Get back to that rifle. It's an important thing. So yeah, just too much hate. He want to let that hate out. Yeah, so that I tend to believe the official narrative right now. I just think that they've done a really bad job of laying it out. And some of that is because Kash Patel is wanting to overcompensate for either being complicit in the Epstein cover-up or having egg on his face for getting in there and not finding anything important to release about Epstein, one of those.
Or he's Charlie Kirk's friend and knew him and doesn't want to taint the evidence potentially.
Yeah. Well, some of this, I think they want to prove how transparent they are. And so they want to release this stuff like as soon as possible. And I think they jumped the gun a little bit on things. because they just wanted to be so transparent and so effective. And that's led to them making a couple mistakes and kind of fudging the timeline a little bit. And I hope that none of this stuff, hope that none of it comes back to bite them in a court of law, because that would be bad. So let's see, what else we got here? Let's see what else we got.
I think that about wraps it up because I have to use the facilities.
Oh.
It's usually you.
I gotcha.
That has to go pee, but I'm right now sitting in my chair.
Yeah.
Thinking I need to wrap this thing up.
Let's see. I had, I keep exaggerating the numbers. I had 8 total clips to play today.
Nate doesn't care.
We played one of them. And,
really? We could keep going.
No, it's fine. I don't really know what today's episode was about.
Conspiracy.
So let's get
truth.
Yeah. There we go.
Truth, conspiracy, the official narrative, the back and forth fighting. You got Candace and Tucker, and we didn't even bring up Bill Ackman and the Hamptons meeting. And
it's all in here to be brought up.
Man, there is a lot going on. Twitter and other places as well. I've seen obviously TikTok and even Facebook Reels about this thing. Man,
made it to Facebook, huh?
Facebook Reels showing up, Instagram Reels, TikTok,
getting out there to the normies.
Yeah, and so it's hard. Nate and I were talking before the show. It's like, my God, there's so much out there. It's almost hard to even know what to talk about. It's almost hard. It's like you're in a sea of data. And how do you aggregate and disseminate, what data is viable and not viable? And then because what's weird is I happen to baseline trust because of previous conversations, certain people, I think I like a lot of what Tucker has to say. I like a lot of what Dave Smith has to say. I like a lot of what Charlie Kirk had to say and Candace Owens. And then also there's a few times where I'm like, that seems a little far-fetched, and Candace seems a little far-fetched for Tucker, seems a little far-fetched for Dave, Ian Carroll, whatever. And I've consumed quite a lot of content, but of course you always have that in the back of your mind, you don't actually know. But it's like, why would Candace Owens be making this up? What does she have to gain? Oh, I don't know. Continued followers and money. What does Tucker have to gain? Same thing. What do the people have to gain who are against them? Same.
Yeah,
trust. It could be a pure motive of trying to get to the truth. I mean, the truth, the thing about it is you don't really know. What do we have to gain about talking about it? I mean, we're trying to figure it out. That's the pure motive of us, I believe. But some people could say our analysis of it is because we stand to gain more followers and therefore more money or whatever. That could always be the case. I've actually had conversations with Nate about hesitating posting about Charlie because sometimes it feels weird that it's almost like you're using someone's death to gain attention, and that feels strange.
I said that at the end of Friday's show.
You'll notice I think we've posted one TikTok about it. And I think we've made 2 Instagram and Facebook posts about it since it happened a week ago.
Yeah, I
thought about it feels weird.
I thought about posting Charlie Kirk clips or posting a hot take on something, and there's something that happens, especially after you can get paid to post on something like X or whatever. You're thinking oh, how can I craft this to be a really popular post that gets out to the most amount of people? And when it comes to posting directly after someone's death, I feel like I'm being a little bit exploitative and trying to personally gain off of someone's death. And fortunately for everyone who wants to view that content, there are plenty of people who don't feel that way. And so are able to get as much of that content as possible. I hesitate, and I've stopped myself several times from posting about much of this stuff because I don't know. To a fault, it does not feel right, but it's to a fault as someone who's trying to do a media thing. It's kind of your job.
Right. It does make it difficult. All right. Well, if
you have morals,
if you all enjoyed this conspiracy truth episode, that's conspiracy /truth. Like, I don't know if, I'm not saying that the conspiracy is truth. Then you can share it around. Leave us a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Go to godhatesfeds.com or joingml.com. That's where you can be part of the Fed Haters Club. The only place, the only hate club I know of that spreads love and truth and good messaging. So
that's our tagline.
That's where you want to be. Joingml.com. Visit the links in the show notes to support the sponsors that support this show. That, of course, helps grow the show. It helps in one day maybe, doing this full time. We'll see. And we appreciate each and every one of you. If you do all those things, we'll be back again tomorrow. Hope you have a good day and a good morning, Liberty.